Have you seen the petition to reinstate Dr. David Unwin's graphic about equilibrating food content to the amount of sugar in it? If you haven't, please take a look for it, and we'll include a link down below. I'm Dr. Brett Scher, the medical director at dietdoctor.com, and I want to talk to you about this situation that's happening with this graphic that Dr. David Unwin created. Now, in full disclosure, look, I'm a big fan of Dr. Unwin's. We had a great podcast episode with him. At Diet Doctor, we have a whole video series for clinicians on using low carb in a family practice based on Dr. Unwin's practice. And we've used his graphic that he created. It's a great chart that shows when you're eating certain foods, whether it's like bananas or spaghettis or bread or porridge, which we call, I guess, oatmeal in the U.S., and what the sugar equivalent is. And it's very helpful because he bases it on sort of the glycemic index of food. And look, you can say a food has a glycemic index of 20 or 70 or 80, but for the average person, we don't really have a reference for that. So it's hard to understand what that really means. But as his graphic shows, and we'll link to it down below, a cup of cornflakes is equivalent to 8.4 teaspoons of sugar. That all of a sudden, that's a graphic we can relate to. Or the supposedly healthy porridge, a 2/3 cup of oat porridge is equivalent to 4.4 teaspoons of sugar. Like, that's a graphic that really helps. And so he's done a wonderful job creating what he set out to do, a simple way for people to understand that the food they eat is converted to glucose, and that glucose is the same that you get when you eat sugar. Now, here's the problem. This is a very complicated topic, right? Our bodies react differently to food. It's not all the same. Our bodies, people who are metabolically healthy and physically active, are going to react very differently to someone who's insulin resistant or has type 2 diabetes or is sedentary. And so I guess you could say this graphic got in a little hot water when an article was written about it by Barney Coleman on the Mail on Sunday. And he wrote an article about it because he and one other person sort of stress tested this. And they would eat the sugar, test their blood sugar, they'd eat the food, test their blood sugar, and they showed that it wasn't equivalent, right? His graph didn't hold up every single time for all the foods that they tried. And he's right. It's not a perfect graph. It's not going to be the same blood sugar rise for every single one. So the question then becomes, does that invalidate this graph? Because then the NICE, N-I-C-E, the UK National Institute for Health and Care of Excellence, who is using his graphic, pulled it because of this paper, this journal article that they wrote, and because it called it into question. But I mean, it brings up a great point of trying to make a simple graph for people to understand the concept is different than saying it's the same for everybody. So petition is circulating to say, let's reinstate this because it was sort of improperly pulled. But whether it was proper or improper depends on what the whole understanding is about the graph. So if you think this is a graph that's going to apply to all people the same, you're right. It should not be used. It's improper for that. But if you think this graph can be helpful for individual people to help them see sugar content of food, understanding that their blood sugar may react differently, and understanding that there's a spectrum of metabolic health and insulin resistance that will affect how your body reacts, then that's the proper way to use that graph. That's how we like to use it here at dietdoctor.com. So I hope, the silver lining is all this attention to Dr. Unwin's graph will make it more well known. More people will see it as it's circulating on social media and people are talking about it. But let's make sure we're using it appropriately, interpreting it appropriately, and what it means for us as individuals. All right. So I hope that's helpful. And we have, we have guides on insulin resistance, what it is, what you can do about it, which may also help with the same topic. So we'll list those down below so you can click on them, and make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button down below as well. That way you'll get all our updates about the Diet Doctor news. You'll get the Diet Doctor Explorer series. You'll get all our podcasts and our cooking videos and so much more. We really have a wealth of information here on YouTube, all aimed to make low carb simple and help you get healthier. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.